Okay, welcome everybody, and thank you for attending the Trail Talks tonight. I'm Ahmad Mirza, librarian here with the Santa Barbara Public Library. We wanted to send a big thank you out to James Wapatich, who is our library partner for this Trail Talk series. James, just want to say, James, thank you for helping coordinate and being such an awesome library partner. If anyone's interested here in following James's adventures, you can check out his blog. It's a really good blog, a lot of information in there. www.songsofthewilderness.com. So a big shout out to James. I got some updates. So we won't be having a Trail Talks in August, but we're going to pick things back up in September. September is going to be James. We just shouted out. We'll be giving a talk in September. Into the Mountains, Trails and Tales of the Santa Barbara Backcountry. And that talk will highlight several historic trails that lead from Santa Barbara into our local backcountry. And these are trails that can still be visited today as part of a day hike or backpacking trip. So more info for that to come. It'll be in our calendar soon. And I'll email everyone who's registered. Also, the benefit of registering for these things is we'll email everyone closer to the date with the registration link and more information about that specific talk. Before we introduce the speakers this evening, I wanted to say that anyone who has any questions during the presentations, please put them in the chat. You could also put them in the Q&A part as well. If we have time at the end of the presentation, we'll try to get to your questions. And also this presentation will be recorded, and we plan to put it up on the library YouTube page. See the theme here, register. So if you've registered, we'll try to get an email out to you all with the link to the YouTube page from the library site, so you'll be able to see this presentation at home. Now we're going to shift gears here. Not here to see me. So let's talk a little bit about the presentation today. This is during this presentation, the Tahoe Rim Trail Association will provide a brief overview of the history and current state of the Tahoe Rim Trail system, what to know before you go, and information on sustainable trail use. The Tahoe Rim Trail Association is proud to steward one of the premier trail systems in the world, expanding and improving the trail and associated assets so that visitors can enjoy and recreate safely. The association provides a world-class trail experience for more than 500,000 hikers, bikers, and equestrians annually, enabling the public to experience Tahoe's iconic landscapes, charismatic fauna, and captivating flora. And with that, I want to introduce Morgan Steele, Executive Director, and Tommy Rosenbluth, the Director of Operations. Thank you both for joining us today for Trail Talks. Really appreciate your time. It's going to be a wonderful presentation.
Thank you so much. And first of all, I just want to thank the Santa Barbara Public Library for hosting this talk, and to all of you for coming out to spend a little time with us on a Thursday evening. So yeah, I'm Tommy Rosenbluth, Director of Operations for the TRTA, and this is the first virtual trail talk we've done in a while, so we're excited to start doing more of these in the future. And I'm just going to briefly go over our organizational history today, discuss planning, preparedness, preservation. So some of the things you really need to know before coming to the Tahoe Rim Trail, and some of the challenges we've been facing in recent years. And then I will go over some of our signature programs and volunteer opportunities. And then we'll kind of wrap things up by discussing some sustainable recreation challenges and solutions that we face in the Lake Tahoe Basin. The mission of the TRTA is to maintain and enhance the Tahoe Rim Trail system, practice and inspire stewardship, and preserve access to the natural beauty of the Lake Tahoe region. So basically in terms of providing just a brief history, the Tahoe Rim Trail was really envisioned by a former U.S. Forest Service officer, Glenn Hampton, who, with the help of many volunteers in 1984, began construction. The system, when they completed it in 2001, was about 115 miles, but we've obviously since expanded, and currently the length of the trail is around 175 miles, although it's always evolving, and we're adding different connections and rerouting the trail. So the system in total with connector trails is about 200 miles, with over 50 in Nevada. There's about 50 miles of the trail that co-aligns with the Pacific Crest Trail. So they are big partners of ours, along with the U.S. Forest Service and Nevada State Parks. The trail crosses a few different national forests, so we really rely on our land management partners to complete a lot of the trail construction and maintenance projects that we do each year. And then we have about 500,000 annual trail users, although that number has really fluctuated due to COVID and some of the wildfires that we've experienced in recent years. So yeah, there are 16 major trailheads around the Tahoe Rim Trail system, and we, on our website, you'll see we've divided each segment into 8 different sections. So some people like to tackle one section at a time, or they might want to try to do the whole thing in whatever amount of time they choose. But there's a lot of options for starting points. So we get a lot of questions about which is the best one to start at, and which direction should you go? Should you go clockwise? It's really up to you and kind of what experience you want to have. There are some good overnight parking options at Kingsbury South and North, Big Meadow as well. It does seem to be popular for people to start in Tahoe City and go clockwise, but you can go any direction you choose, which is a really great thing. There's lots of parking. And then if ever you were wanting to really map out and plan your trip, we do have an interactive Explore the Trail map on our website, which really goes into detail some of these different things that you might want to consider, like connector trails, where are the campgrounds, what kinds of water sources are available seasonally, and which ones are reliable. And then different points of interest are available as well if you're trying to go summit a particular mountain or something. And then because the TRT is a multi-use trail, we've also got some sections where there are some bike and equestrian restrictions. So really encourage everybody attending today, if you're interested in recreating on the Tahoe Rim Trail, to explore our map. It's very detailed and kind of shows everything in terms of planning and what you might need to know in terms of challenges you might encounter in a specific section. So some other more specific things you might want to know before you go. There is a couple of points on the Tahoe Rim Trail that are a little bit water scarce, and I've kind of highlighted one of them here. It's the North Shore section from Watson Lake to Gray Lake. It's about around 17 miles. So that is an area that a lot of users call and ask about. And so there is that a major trail kind of close in between there at Brockway Summit. So that is a place that you could stop. You could hike from Watson Lake to Brockway, and then about 5 miles from there, you could go to Kings Beach and resupply. But it is a bit of a challenging area if you're trying to go to point A to point B. So we do like to point that out. And then recently, there was actually a new Forest Service order that requires a bear canister in Desolation Wilderness, which is a very popular section of the TRT. There's some great places to camp near Alpine Lakes. It's one of the most popular wilderness areas in America. So that's been a recent change that you'd want to be aware of, as well as getting a permit for that area. If you're planning on staying there overnight in Desolation Wilderness, you do need to get a permit, and we have that information available on our website. You contact Lake Tahoe Basin Management Unit. We also get a lot of questions about overnight parking, and we do have some issues with bears, so you want to make sure you don't leave any food or anything in your car, and definitely can use our website to find areas where it's okay to leave your car overnight. There areas like the 64 acres parking lot near Tahoe City, where it's you wouldn't want to leave your car overnight due to some of the restrictions we have with some of our land management partners at Sierra Transit Center. Also on our website, we do highlight for folks that are hoping to hike the entire trail some good trailheads where it's good to, you can resupply. There's nearby towns to restock on food and get some water and take a break. So that's very helpful for those trying to do the whole thing or even just a large stretch. Yeah, also, we do get a lot of questions about, well, if I stop at one point, would I be able to take the bus or to skip a section? Currently, there's not a lot of amazing public transit options in the Tahoe region. So something you'd want to be aware of. You might be able to get an Uber or something, but a lot of users have a family member or loved one kind of working with them if they're doing it alone. So they're sort of tracking where they're going if they need to get picked up or worst case scenario, evacuated. Another thing that we just like to remind everybody about is you need to camp 300 feet from the TRT and alpine lakes. There's a lot of lakes you'll pass on the TRT in each section, and you cannot camp right next to it. So just wanted to highlight some of those things that we often get questions about. And again, this is very detailed on our website. Morgan, if you want to just get through the next few slides here. Oh, there you go. So this is just showing some of those things I was just talking about are available on our website, some of those resupply points. And we have a whole page on our website that talks about water sources. So just like depending on where you start, it kind of tells you which reliable water sources you can count on.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks, Tommy. Hi, everyone. My name is Morgan Steele. I'm the director here at the Tahoe Rim Trail Association. Really appreciate the opportunity to speak with y'all and talk a little bit about the association and some of the things that we're working on. And I'm not sure how much of the video you got to hear, but we did talk a little bit in the video about that. And I'm just going to go through some of these things just to kind of give you a broader picture of the scope of work of the association. So as you can see on the screen, we had a very eventful fall last year. You know, I think anyone in the West is very highly aware at this point of our pretty severe drought conditions. I know, Santa Barbara, Southern California has also had, historically dry years and major wildfires that you all have been contending with as well. And so when we really look at our challenges, that are going to face the Tahoe Rim Trail in the future, a lot of it is really figuring out how we best manage this incredible public resource in the face of a changing climate and, things like, fires. It's a huge piece for us and something that, we're still trying to work through. We also really recognize that there are more folks coming to Tahoe and using our trail system. So that does present a changing experience for the people who are out here and also user impact. So we're just going to talk a little bit about those. As I mentioned before, and was in the video, this is our Tahoe Rim Trail up near Echo Summit. So if you're coming from the west, this is the first area of the trail you would come to. Unfortunately, this is where we had the most significant impacts from the fire. The Caldor fire started on August, I believe, 6th. And it started actually quite a ways away from the Tahoe Basin. It was only the second fire ever to actually cross over the Sierra. So, most fires stay either west side or, they start on the east side, they stay on the east side. So there was a very large fire north of us that was the first to do it. And then just a few weeks later, we had the Caldor fire do the same thing. So pretty shocking to see that happen. It was, pretty scary for everyone involved, but something that we're really trying to, like I said, figure out how we're going to address. Even when fires aren't that right here in our face in this, in the Tahoe Basin. We still have really significant impacts from fires where, it's too smoky to go out and work on the trail. It's too smoky for, users. So it's really shortened our trail season. We try to really pack a lot of our restoration projects, our guided hiking programs into a much shorter trail season to be able to provide enough time to get it done before, the fire impacts really hit. So right now, I'm happy to report that it is, I should knock on wood right now, but it is clear. We've been really lucky so far. Our June was actually a little cooler, a little more moisture than last year, but we're all kind of just waiting and keeping fingers crossed that we'll make it through the summer and really hoping and holding out for a big snow year. That's really where we get a lot of our moisture up here, and the Sierra snowpack slowly melts, and we have great water sources for the rest of the year. But on these really low snow years, when that melts much earlier, it really just does cause lots of problems. So it's a big challenge for us and something that we're actively working to address. Some other pieces here, like I mentioned, with increasing number of users, we have lots of impacts, and that can be on the trail itself, or also, on the different critters that are also in these areas. And so here we have an area where the Tahoe Rim Trail is also a really great access point for a popular climbing destination. And unfortunately, we have very critical species of bird in that area, and we were having a lot of conflicts between users and the birds. And so this was a really great opportunity for us to try to one, protect the birds. So we put up some signage and worked with our partners at some of the different organizations in the basin. And then two, we were able to take all the different routes that were going from the TRT to the climbing area and try to consolidate them down to one area to really lessen the impact of the trail on the environment and provide a better experience for our users. So as I mentioned, lots of challenges coming up. Some of our solutions that we're really focused on currently is monitoring. We have a big program where we're actually monitoring the number of people who are on the trail, also monitoring what the actual condition of the tread and the trail surface is looking like, what changes are happening there, what changes are happening in our high alpine lakes. So lots of just data collection so that we can make really informed decisions and provide that information to our land management partners. Obviously, I think this is part of what most people think of when they think of the Tahoe Rim Trail Association is our trail building and maintenance programs. We're also working to really grow that next generation of trail users and make sure that that generation has a connection to nature and an interest in protecting the environment. And that kind of flows right into our next piece here of our education programs and fostering an appreciation of nature. And then we're also doing a lot to invest in sustainable recreation and tourism. We've had just huge growth in the number of people who are visiting the area. And a lot of that, a lot of those users are coming for the recreational opportunities that the Tahoe Basin affords. And so it definitely has been a huge goal for us to make sure that when those folks go out on the trail, they've had an opportunity to learn some really basic information about how to use that trail sustainably. So I'm going to pass it back over to Tommy, who's going to talk a little bit about all these different programs and projects that we're doing.
Yeah, so as Morgan mentioned, one of our challenges is just the increase in use. And I think we saw with the pandemic that a lot of people were really, itching to get outside. And we definitely felt that in the Tahoe Basin. And we are one of the great resources for people to, improve a healthy lifestyle and really get outside and foster an appreciation for nature. So this is just a map that kind of shows each year we try to do through our visitor use monitoring program. We do trail counts and we kind of try to highlight the areas of the trail where we're getting a lot of high use. As you might expect, this map here is kind of showing those connections to designated wilderness areas. So that little connection on the southern part of the trail that leads users to Desolation Wilderness. There's usually more than 120,000 users there each year. So it's definitely one of the more popular areas for people to go and camp. Also up on the North Shore, in red, you'll see our Mount Rose trailhead to Mount Rose Wilderness or to Galena Falls, which is a day hike that people can do, is definitely a very popular hike. And that area in general near Tahoe Meadows is very popular. And then we have in this other, also in the south parts, people that go from Big Meadow to Mice Country. There's some beautiful meadows and alpine lakes that people can connect to. Again, that particular trail is multi-use. It's very popular for both cyclists and hikers. And yeah, I just wanted to show this is actually part of our data collection this year. This is actually at that Big Meadow Trail Junction. It's averaging about 300 users every day in that June to July section. So it's really critical that we collect that data so we can figure out how to reduce congestion and come up with better loops and connection points that can better improve the experience for recreational users. So really we are powered by volunteerism, and our trail ops program does a number of trail building and maintenance projects each year. And we do work days from May to October, where we typically on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays open it up to the public, and no one needs to have any experience, and they can come and learn how to build trail and learn more about how trails were designed, and just kind of a lot of team building and making new friends and kind of enjoying giving back to the trail system. So we do a lot of training opportunities for anyone that wants to participate in our trail work days. We also have some longer like backcountry camp trips that we'll do for people like up to 4 days if they want to camp and also learn how to build and maintain trail. And then just this year, we've tried to do these, we're calling them our weekend warrior camps. So for people that work during the summer, they can come out and it's more of like a front country experience, but really also like learn how to construct or maintain trail and also get out there and camp. And here is just a slide. This is a project that we did near Star Lake, which is a popular destination for users to camp. And we're having some issues with people camping too close. So these are trail ops volunteers kind of installing that sign near the lake. So hopefully that will improve the experience.
Great. And then I feel like our youth programs were well highlighted in that video as well, but just to go in a little bit about some of the programs that we offer for kids, if you're interested, our signature youth program is our youth backcountry camp program. With this, we basically take a group of 12 kids and they show up with a pair of tennis shoes and maybe a warm coat, and we outfit them with everything they need, from food to backpacks, sleeping bags, tents, stoves, and we send them out on the trail with guides for 4 days. And really it's an opportunity for folks to just get out and explore, but also to challenge themselves. And really we find that those outdoor challenges, learning things like, how to use a stove in the backcountry, how to filter water, reading a map, are just real confidence builders for kids. And just the power of being outside is incredible. And we really want to make sure that program and those kind of opportunities are accessible to all kids. One of our favorite things about this program is while we do have scholarship opportunities to provide for anyone who wants to register for a camp, we also work with local social service organizations for probably about 3/4 of our camps, where those groups, whether it's the Boys and Girls Club or we have a group around here called SOS Outreach, in this case, Latino Outdoors, outdoors, and they're able to go into their network of kids and find the kids that will benefit most from a 4-day backpacking excursion on the trail. They recruit them and the whole group comes together, and then we provide the programming completely for free for them. So the majority of kids that we're putting through these programs, we are able to do that completely for free. A lot of that is, a lot of grant writing, a lot of support from members and donors, but it's just something that our organization has felt really passionate about, that, the outdoors is for everyone, and we really want to make sure, kids especially have that opportunity. We also have a lot of different educational programs where, not everyone wants to go and camp out on the trail. So we have, guided day hikes where we might go out winter or summer and, focus on wildflowers or nature photography, or tree hikes and finding certain, classic tree species in the basin where, we have a few, just really incredible examples of trees that are incredibly old, and go around and find the history of some of those things. We also do adult guided programs. So like I was saying, we do have day hikes, but we also have programs where we'll guide folks around the entire trail. Some of those are a full through hike. So we take folks for 15 days and guide them around the entire trail. We have trail angels that meet them occasionally with fresh food, and guides that have great knowledge of the natural history and are able to facilitate a really incredible experience. We also do a full guided trip of the trail, breaking it into 10 to 12 sections, where each week the group will come out and we'll do a segment of the trail. Some of those segments though get fairly long. I think the longest hike they're doing this year is about 22 miles. But it's a really great opportunity for us to not only provide opportunities for people who want to do an overnight trip or get out on the trail and just don't have the skill set and would feel more comfortable with having an expert with them. It's also an opportunity for us to provide a lot of educational information about how to sustainably use the trail and have a trip on the Rim Trail while minimizing their impact. So if you're interested in getting out on the trail with us, this is another piece that's on our website. You can find lots of information. Most of our programs for this summer are full, but we will have, overnight camping, snow camping 101 programs in the winter, along with snowshoe treks. So lots of ways for folks to get involved there.
I did see a question come up in the chat. I know we'll get to the questions at the end, but I forgot to mention at the beginning, our office is located in State Line, Nevada, but obviously we work all over the trails, all around the lake. Yeah, so I just wanted to also touch on investing in sustainable tourism and trail use. So we have, as Morgan mentioned, we do a lot of educational programming, and a lot of that is kind of geared towards teaching those about leave no trace principles. We do sort of a backpacking 101 course. We really want people to be prepared for when they do recreate on the Tahoe Rim Trail, and just sort of understand the basics to ensure that the rich biodiversity in this area remains protected and preserved. So we do have a very big core focus on making sure people are educated on kind of what to expect in different areas. And we're really hoping that at a lot of our major trailheads, we can provide trash services and really, instill good habits so that this area can, stay as beautiful as it is. And we have a task force trailhead program that we've been doing for a couple of years now, where we have volunteers stationed at some of our major trailheads, and they're kind of just making sure that people are prepared. They have maps, they know where they're going. We also bring trash bags to those events, so that if they do need to throw something out, they can do that, and provide dog poop bags and things of that nature. We've seen things like this where there's water caches at a couple of those water scarce areas at some of our trailheads. This is for a lot of the people trying to do the whole thing. And it's not good to see things like this where there's litter, and it's very harmful to the environment. So we try to do these programs so we can pick up the trash and really make sure people understand those leave no trace principles. And we have a number of resources on our websites that kind of detail some of these principles and kind of the expectations for when you are recreating, so you can recreate responsibly.
Great. With just a few minutes here, and then we'll get to all of your questions. I want to leave plenty of time for that. Wanted to go over some of the kind of major programs that we are focusing on moving forward in the coming years. Here, there's just kind of a list of different things that we're looking at. A lot of it is around reducing impacts from users, providing more opportunities, more trail opportunities to spread people out. So a couple to highlight. The first one here is a project we're doing to update the kiosks at our trailheads. We've had some of the existing kiosks at our trailheads for many years, close to 20 in some areas, and the times have definitely changed. So we've been doing a big inventory of what has worked really well for other organizations and other trail systems around the area and actually around the world. And we also, as part of this, have noticed one of the things that's really lacking with our trailheads is just the ability for folks that don't speak English to be able to read the information there, which is really important because the information, as Tommy said, a lot of times is going to provide essential safety information and details on how to minimize your impact on the trail. So we are redesigning our the information that goes on those kiosks. These will be eventually, we're working on it. Hopefully we'll get a couple in this year and just keep plugging away over the next couple of years to replace all of them. But we'll have new kiosks information available where you can, scan a QR code, go to the information in any language that you'd like. We also have maps that we put out at trailheads, and we're trying to get all those also translated and available in Spanish so that everyone has that information that they need there. So this is an exciting project, and we're hoping to be able to get construction started this summer actually on some of these new kiosks. Another area that we're focusing on pretty heavily is infrastructure. It's another one of those areas that doesn't seem really straightforward and what a traditional trail organization is working on, but we've been diving into parking and bathrooms and water sources. It's one of those things that we're finding by not having these resources, it's really having an impact on users and the environment. So for example, this is a overview of a campground near Watson Lake. This is on the north shore of the trail. Or north shore of the lake. And in this area, there's actually a open road that you can drive down. So it's not just trail users, but it's also, general public, OHV users. You can go down to this campground and pick a spot. It's first come, first serve. I think the challenge though is there's no bathroom here and it's right next to a lake. So while we love to give plenty of information to users about how to properly use the facilities when you're out in the woods and there's no established facilities, when you have this kind of impact and number of users right next to a lake, it's a big challenge for us. So we are actually hoping to get a bathroom constructed this fall in this location and really just be able to provide that infrastructure that people are expecting when they go to a designated campground, and really be able to protect the water quality in this area as well. It's a big piece for us moving forward. So just kind of a taste of some of the different projects that are on the on our radar that we're working on, and obviously continuing with infrastructure at trailheads, increasing parking access, noting also that sometimes that's not a reality and there's only so much room to expand. So trying to figure out how we can get public transit access to some of our trailheads is a big piece as well. So really excited to move a lot of these projects forward and see some of these long-term plans come to fruition this summer. So with that, I'm going to pull up this map of our trail. I have a funny feeling that a lot of questions might benefit from having a map so we can point things out and see what questions you all have.
Sweet, perfect. Thank you, Morgan and Tom. It was a great presentation. A lot of information, a lot of trails here happening. So it's good, a lot of opportunity. There are a few questions, and then more will probably start trickling in here soon. But the one that comes up quite a bit is family-friendly trails. So if folks are coming up, making that drive up north from here, a family trip, is there any areas where you recommend that are a little bit easier, especially for little ones?
Yeah, absolutely. I can dive in on that one to start. I don't know if y'all can you see my cursor yeah, you can?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So there's several options here where, there's outside, additional trails that connect to the rim trail that make for really nice loops. If you're looking for some family-friendly options, I would definitely say one really popular place is up here on the north side of the trail at Brockway Summit. You can go up to what we call Picnic Rock, and it's I think it's about 2 miles each direction to go up, and you get this incredible vista where you can see all of the lake. Pretty easy, short commitment, and then you can loop back to your car there. So that's a really great option on the North Shore. Down here on the south side, at the Van Sickle Trail, this great connector here was built in 2016 or probably built in 2013, officially finished by 2016. But this is a really fun area where you can kind of go up as far as you feel comfortable and then turn back around. There are a few very small waterfalls. I want to qualify expectations here. I think sometimes people are expecting very large waterfalls. We don't have those. But there's a couple waterfalls and different trails within this park area that we've been able to connect not only the rim trail to, but just make some really fun short loops. So there's a lot of opportunity there to you could go and start there and hike all the way around the rim trail and connect to the Pacific Crest Trail and go to Mexico. Or you can also do a half a mile trip up the trail and back. And there's some really nice vistas, spurs where you can just pop off the rim trail and climb up a few rocky areas and outcrops, and again, really beautiful views.
There's a question on, I know you mentioned briefly about the upkeep. So what does the trail upkeep look like with the challenges that come with natural disasters? Has the TRT changed drastically since it's first opened? And then more so on how do you adapt to those changes over the course of a lot, like the various disasters that happen?
I can take that one. I mentioned a little bit about this when I was speaking earlier. I think short term, we're really just trying to figure out how we adapt our programming. So thinking through, what can we move earlier in the season? What projects makes more sense. We're always trying to find that balance between scheduling it too early, because if we go too early, there's still snow on the trail. If we schedule too late, then we might be dealing with fire impacts. So I think there's a lot we're doing just kind of around planning for it. And just, I think even 4 or 5 years ago, it wasn't something that we really considered, okay, every August or September, we should expect at least a few weeks where we're, smoked out or, or other reasons can't get on the trail. But, it is our reality now. And so that's something that we're really trying to plan for. With the restoration piece there, we'd spend a lot of time, or this year we've spent a lot of time rebuilding trail. While a lot of the trail didn't actually burn, a lot of the impacts were actually from the fire suppression activities. So, big dozers coming through, building very large fire breaks. We're excited to have a town and see that happen, but coming back, a lot of the trail was lost just because they had to plow over that. So our organization has spent several months this spring, as soon as we were able to safely get out there. Fire areas are very hazardous to be in until we can really evaluate that the trees in the area aren't going to fall. There aren't big root holes that we're going to have our staff and our volunteers falling into. So once we were able to get out there and be in that area and get that work done, we've been really successful with reestablishing trail, rebuilding all of the signage that we lost, and just making sure that the structures that we have out there are safe and sustainable. So that's really what we're focusing on to try to keep that open and accessible for the public. And then in terms of longer term projects and longer term preparations, we know we're getting drier. So as Tommy was mentioning, we do have some really dry sections on the trail. And so to try to find ways around just, people feeling compelled to leave water jugs around, are there ways that we can either have some additional wells on the trail, or, bring in some larger tanks. So we're evaluating that type of work as well as a big piece. And then again, education is huge piece. Throughout the Sierra, we've had a massive tree mortality issue over, I would say we're in a continual drought, but, we had back in 2014 to 16, a really significant increase in tree mortality in the Sierra. We're likely seeing that again start to increase. And so really trying to educate people about the importance of, in terms of trail use, being really thoughtful on, where you're at in the backcountry on windy days. It is a big challenge for us where, you see it in the news. It's tragic on occasion where, a tree falls on a camper and there's massive impacts there, and that's devastating. So trying to get that word out that our forests are changing, and that's the reality that folks need to consider when they're out on the trail, or if they're out in a burn area, the same sort of impacts there. And then we're also spending a lot of time addressing that tree mortality. We have so many more trees in the area that are falling, and it's, we've seen increase in wind. So just trying to get our crews out there. We probably clear close to 300 trees off the trail every year just to keep it open. And so that's, again, just planning for those sort of impacts. That was a long answer, but I hope I got some of that answered for you.
No, that's great. We had another question. I bet you get this one a lot. What's the best time of the year to hike the loop? And then what time of year should we avoid or require more experience?
I can try to answer this. This is a kind of a tough one because the weather patterns here, as we highlighted in our talk, and Morgan, some of the challenges of keeping track of when we get snowfall, and it's kind of changed every couple of years. It's sometimes it's earlier, sometimes it's a little later. I personally like early June seems to be a good time to start it. Like, maybe at the start, like some of these areas that do have some snow, it starts to melt around then. So, and it's kind of a little bit ahead of hopefully the wildfire season. But it really just depends. We've had a number of people this year that called and they wanted to do it in May, but there's still a lot of snow on the trails. So that's one thing, you have to be comfortable and bring micro spikes and comfortable, hiking sections where there's going to be a couple feet of snow. So I would definitely say like, before May, like sort of when the trail's still covered in snow, if you want to do it in like the winter time, that's in my mind is challenging, but if you're a winter sports person, maybe that's the best time for you. So it really just depends on, your experience level and what you feel comfortable doing. But yeah, as we like to tell everybody, always kind of have a backup plan and be prepared to change plans quickly. Because, with the wildfires we've experienced, you just want to want to be sure that you've checked. Even if you plan something in August, you'll want to, check to make sure in advance, the conditions. And we try to keep that trail conditions page pretty updated with, where the sections of snow are really tough to get through.
Thank you, Tommy, for that. There was a question also about car camping and staying overnight in a car. Are there any opportunities like near a trailhead to hike at dawn and get back at dusk? And is there a map somewhere that would be a good resource to know kind of just where the areas are?
Yeah, camping is a real challenge in the Tahoe Basin, car camping especially. Most of our campgrounds are fully booked out during the summer, 6 months in advance. And the Tahoe Basin actually doesn't have any dispersed camping. So it's not like you can drive up a road, find someplace, like a lot of national forests, you can, find one of the forest roads and drive out there and just stop and camp out there. Camping in the Tahoe Basin is really limited to designated campgrounds and then within 300 feet of the Tahoe Rim Trail. So car camping can really be a challenge. If you're looking at car camping, I recommend planning, honestly 6 months in advance. I think that's the reality of trying to find a campground here. We do have really lovely campgrounds, but they're very popular. So something to keep in mind there if you're looking at car camping. There are a few first come, first serve sites around the basin. And again, for that, you're just going to want to make sure you're showing up, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday sort of schedule. If you're showing up on a Saturday night, it's really going to be difficult. If you are comfortable backpacking, there's tons of options for camping. Like I said, you can camp within 300 feet of the Tahoe Rim Trail in most places. You don't have the opportunity to, as you were saying earlier in this question, like camp right at park at a trailhead, camp there. You do need to go onto the trail, but you can camp if you are backpacking, but car camping can be a challenge.
From James and Tommy, I think you answered it in the chat, but so James was asking, wildfires aside, how late in the year, June through? And the response was June through September is when it is most accessible. And then there was another question on when does the trail become snow free? Is that there? I know
that's the magic question,
again, right?
We need a
range.
Yeah, so it really depends. We would normally have a good estimate sometime in March or April. Like this year, we knew we had a historic December and it snowed a massive amount. It was insane for those of us who lived here. We were buried in feet of snow. And then unfortunately, it did not snow again for 3 months, which was very strange. So we kind of had a sense pretty early on by March, April for our organization. That's when we really started moving our programs up. So, if you kind of track weather in the winter, you'll have a good sense of that. On a normal year, I would say snow is normally gone from the highest elevation of the trail in mid-July. So you can see, the last couple of years have been very abnormal with people using the trail in May. But yeah, normal year, I would say mid-July is a pretty safe bet for completely snow-free. But it's really going to depend on the snowpack and what happens over the winter. So if you're interested, we have a main line at our office here that we staff year round. So you can always give us a call in, April and just get an update from us on what the snow conditions are and kind of our estimate of, well, unless we have some massive snowstorms that come in April, you might be able to get, fully around the trail without snow in mid-June, like it was the case this year. Or, we're still under 15 feet of snow, so don't expect to be, clear until late August. And we have had years where we've literally had to, wait on some of our trail projects until August because there was so much snow here.
So there's always snow, and then there's no snow, and then there's always snow. No. And I want to be respectful of your time. So the final question, I think is a good question to wrap up is, what are some of your favorite trail segments? You had to pick a segment. What would be your hike?
So Morgan is much more experienced than me in terms of she's actually done the entire trail. I still have some sections that I haven't done yet, but I really enjoy the Tahoe Meadows, heading south from Tahoe Meadows section towards like Diamond Peak and Marlette Lake is a really nice favorite of mine. And I also really enjoy like the big meadow to sort of like Echo Lake section in the south. So those are two of my favorites.
I am gonna go with there is a beautiful alpine lake. It's in this area called Star Lake. It's amazing, and I can ride my bike there from my house. And so it's always one of those areas that just it's gorgeous, and it makes me so thankful to have the opportunity to ride out my back door and go to a really cool lake. So that's one of my absolute favorites. And then there's some really fun spots, especially if you're looking for wildflowers up by Barker Pass. If you hit that at the right time of the year, there's just so many beautiful flowers out there. So I really love that area as well. And lots of water. So that makes it a nice little hike.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I want to, before we end it, just a plug to get the contact information or to get access to your website, Tahoe Rim Trail.org. Is that correct? So that's the website. If you have any information, it's going to have get you the trail maps and contact information, questions, and I'm sure a dozen other functions of that website. But I just want to make sure everyone knows that's there. We'll also put in the link to the website when we reach out to everyone who's registered and the video. Hopefully we get out to the folks as well. But with that, I just wanted to appreciate both Morgan and Tommy once again for your time and your wonderful presentation. We're very happy to have you here, and thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, appreciate it.